his point, Christopher asks David to hold his thumb and forefinger together while Christopher pulls on them.
Let's just find out.
Yeah, okay.
So say yes.
Yes.
Off planet.
Off planet.
David says he comes from off planet and his fingers hold together.
Yeah.
Oh, off planet is true. Oh,
Yeah.
yes, of course.
So his subconscious is saying he's from another planet.
You just say I'm from Earth.
I'm from Earth.
Not so much.
Okay.
Yeah, you're from off planet.
Our world is magnificent, filled with life in every imaginable form. But what if at the root of all these diverse forms, there was one energy, one conscious energy that created everything we know by becoming everything we know, including you. Come with us as we peek behind the curtain of what we call reality and explore the limitless wonders of consciousness in the Realization Lab.
Welcome, everyone, to another episode of Realization Lab. I'm Jay Sherrick. I'm here once again with
David Ron.
There he is, sitting right to my left this time.
In the
and
flesh.
We have two guests.
Double trouble.
Double trouble here in the studio. We have Christopher LaPrath. Thank you so much for being here.
Thank you. Thanks for having me.
Yeah.
And Michael Mazzola.
Thank you for having me.
We're very excited to have you. So people who watch the podcast will recognize Chris. David, you haven't been in on these episodes
No,
because you're not there for the... Chris has an incredible ability to see shit that no one else sees, basically. What are the terms you give for yourself?
It's like a reality architect.
A reality architect.
It's like when you go into a building, you can kind of see where they have termites, right? Or they need a new beam put in,
right?
You know, for structural integrity. That's kind of how I see things in people's fields, and it's not really seeing; it's just kind of sensing. It's just how my brain works. No two brains are alike, Brains are like fingerprints.
So the way your brain is wired, when you come in the presence of someone, or maybe even just think about someone, I don't even know, but you're able to sense things in their field, their energy field, I guess is what you would say. And these things are typically impediments, or what are you seeing typically?
Most of it is self-imposed roadblocks. They're constructs or belief systems that they came in with, believing, this is how you have to exist.
Right. And can you even see David here behind all the roadblocks that he's created for us?
It's just like railroad crossing arms and stanchions.
Barely even make you out. Yeah.
No, but when I met David for the first time, it was like, what are you? Like, this is really interesting.
David's interesting.
Well, everyone is.
Everyone's interesting.
By the way, he said what, not who.
Yeah.
It's a little alarming.
I think what you said was he seemed like he's from a different planet.
Right.
Yeah.
He's not from here.
Right. Which we've sort of always kind of, Guidance had said some things. Yeah. Guidance is this spiritual entity that I used to communicate with on a very regular basis for a couple decades through a medium. And they had tremendous perspective, could see quite a bit, and they were saying that David had not spent that many lives here on the planet Earth, so that was consistent with at least other information we've got.
Yeah. So when I kind of looked at you and went, what did I tell you earlier before we came in here?
So we were standing out in the hall, and he said, "Don't let me forget." For David, you said, I forgot. No, I'm kidding. He said, tell him to go ahead and not worry about everyone else catching up with you.
Yeah, these are constructs that you came in here with, where you're a good guy, but you've been holding back for waiting for people to catch up.
We were just talking about that. That is your pattern of anyone who's suffering, anyone who's having any trouble, you've got to stay back, help them, make sure they're good, as opposed to just traveling on your path.
Yeah. It's actually unhealthy for you.
Right.
It's actually literally unhealthy for you.
Okay, I want to interrupt your dissection of David for a second, because we haven't introduced Michael. So Michael Mazzola is somebody that has been working with Chris And Michael knows so much about Chris and the work you do and everything like that. And he's got an interesting perspective. So I pulled him in to join us for this.
Yeah, I've been working pretty close with Michael for the past 2 years.
Yeah. So we're so glad to have you here.
Oh,
too.
thank you. Happy to be here.
I've seen you do incredible things in the few episodes that we've done. Well, you have this ability to kind of go to the heart of a person's core issues, which I guess is what you're talking about when you see the impediments in them. It's different from what other psychic mediums that I've been around do. You just sort of like, it's a much bigger picture. It's a much more like, what is the big thematic need that this person has right now, and how can I help them see that?
Right.
So it's not just channeling an ancestor who's coming to say hi. It's a little more.
Oh, it's completely different, which is why I think you're so incredible and so valuable. I mean, it just sort of, it kind of skips over all the noise and just gets to the heart of things.
Right. Because nobody can see their own stuff.
Right.
And we talked about this before. If you and I sit at an Italian restaurant and you have spaghetti sauce on your face, you're not going to see it.
Right.
Right. And you're not going to be offended if I tell you, hey, Jay, you got a little spaghetti sauce right there.
Right.
Just take a napkin and wipe it off. It's no big deal.
Right. What you were telling me, Michael, is from your understanding of working with Chris, is he has this unique ability to not only just find it, but help people actually move it away.
To move it out of their fields. That's
Yeah.
right. So when he's asking you, will you now release, clear, destroy, and uncreate XYZ?
Right.
He's asking for your authorization to move that energy.
Right.
And so this is his unique gift.
And is that just to avoid legal trouble?
I mean,
Why, Michael, why don't you just tell us about how you connected with Chris and what that experience was like?
Sure. So this was 2 years ago at the Conscious Life Expo in LA, which is like 25,000 people crammed into the LAX Hilton for a weekend.
All new agey stuff. And,
Agey stuff, and most of it's just like really cringe,
You're there because you're a filmmaker.
That's right.
You've made a number of amazing films that I've watched on Netflix long before I knew who you were, about the paranormal, about aliens. What are the names of your...
So Unacknowledged and Close Encounters of the Fifth Kind are probably the two best known.
Those are the ones I've
So
seen.
I always go to these conferences to network and to see my friends.
Right.
I never expect to actually encounter real consciousness or magic.
Because it's a big circus, right?
It's a big circus, and it's a lot of fun,
Yeah.
So Chris had a booth there, and he looks at me, he goes, oh my God.
Oh, I did.
He did. He's like, oh. And I'm like, what? And he's like, oh, you have this connection to Babaji. And that got my attention.
Let's just explain for people who Babaji is.
So Babaji is, so if you know who Yogananda was.
Right, which is Autobiography of a Yogi, sort of famous.
His guru's guru was Babaji.
Right.
But Babaji is
Back
like
in India.
Back in India. But Babaji is a divine avatar like Christ who has reappeared multiple times throughout history. And Autobiography of a Yogi is my favorite book.
Okay.
So I knew who Babaji was, and so he had my attention.
So what did you see that made you think he had a connection to Babaji?
His Babaji T-shirt. I love Babaji.
Wow, you're so psychic.
Amazing. Yeah, it was a miracle.
You're a fucking
It was a
psychic.
miracle, yeah. Whoa. It was
Now,
cool.
other than the T-shirt, what did you see?
I actually saw Paramahansa Yogananda and Babaji around him.
Like standing behind him?
Yes.
This time you had like a vision?
Yeah. I guess you could call that.
Yeah. Okay.
Yeah. I don't know how else to put it, but
And so when you saw that, you're like, oh, there's something with you
should
and
probably
Babaji.
know this.
Yeah.
Might be good to know.
And it's interesting that Autobiography of a Yogi is your favorite book.
My favorite book.
Yeah, so-
Now, I didn't know if he was full of crap or not.
Well, look at him. You would think, yes,
Yeah.
he's full of crap, right? I mean, look at the hat.
Well, okay, keep in mind, I'm in an environment where everyone's trying to sell me something,
Right.
So my guard is up, right?
Yeah.
I'm among hundreds of vendors who are all saying they have the greatest thing in the multiverse for the right price, right?
Right.
So my guard is up, but he has my attention, right?
Right.
So then he gives me this free, huge, beautiful crystal and says, "Here, put this in your pocket. You're going to need this." And I'm like, "Ooh, free crystal, cool."
That's a good come on.
It's a good sign.
Yeah,
I'm
yeah.
like,
First
okay.
one's free.
The first one's free,
Yeah,
exactly.
For you today, special price. Only for you. Cheap, cheap.
And then, I kept coming back, and I don't know why I kept coming back to his booth, and just like,
and you're interacting with him, or
yeah, and I'm just like, hey, hi
small talk.
again,
Hey,
small
Crystal
talk,
Babaji guy.
yeah, okay, I'll buy your book. Even though he first told me about his book, I'm like, I don't have time to read books, and so then I'm standing in line for lunch, and he comes up to me and he gives me another crystal, and he says, here, you're really going to need this.
Second one's free too.
Yeah, and I'm
you're
like,
really going to need this. Okay,
Yeah.
so hold on. So what inspired you to give Michael the second crystal?
So if you've had a few too many drinks, you kind of need to hang on to the kitchen counters.
Right. Chris always has these metaphors that make absolutely no sense
That
in the
made sense to
beginning.
me.
Yeah.
Michael needs to hang on to the kitchen counter?
Yeah, he's got a whole lot of stuff that's putting him off balance and needs something to balance him.
Yeah.
Okay, so,
So-
Michael's a drunk.
spiritually, yeah.
He was I could tell he was being downloaded.
Oh.
And when you're coming into like realization or aha moments, I mean, we've all gotten dizzy.
Yeah.
You know, it's kind of like a what is happening type of, and I could sense that about him.
He was at a point where he was receiving a lot of information. Was this as a result of the first crystal you gave him, or it was just like that?
The crystals didn't have anything to do.
Okay.
The crystals didn't, but I knew it would give him at least some kind of an anchor.
Okay.
So I go to lunch,
Uh-huh.
and I've got these huge crystals in my pocket, and I'm just sitting with my friend, and she's talking about her life, and all of a sudden, I feel like I'm on drugs, but it was the most exquisite high I had ever experienced.
Right.
And I was thinking, did I take something this morning? But I hadn't. Right. And so I was sitting there and I couldn't even listen to what she was saying. And I said, excuse me, I have to go. And I went upstairs to my hotel room and I'm just meditating. I feel like I'm going to leave my body.
Right.
And I do hape, which is this tobacco ash that you blow up.
And why are
your
you
nose
meditating and doing the hape?
Because I feel like I'm on LSD or something.
And you're trying
and
to...
I'm trying to come back into my body because I feel like
You're about to leave.
I'm about to expand to the size of the universe. And I didn't know what was happening to me, and I was just trying to ground.
Right.
So then when I could finally walk again, I went downstairs and I found him, and I said, what the fuck are these rocks doing to me? And he said, it's not the crystals, it's you. And I said, well, I don't know what that means. And he said, well, here, take my number, and we'll be in touch because you're going through this activation. So for the next 2 or 3 weeks, this exquisite high would just start around 10, 11 o'clock every morning. And it would feel really good for like 20 minutes, and then I would get sick. And I would get really dizzy, and I would just lay down on the floor, curled up in a ball, and then he would call and say, you're doing great.
Would he call while you're having the thing?
Yeah, like as soon as the sickness
Did you have a message like this was the time where...
So when I tune in, I can feel people, no matter the distance. It's like, this is where...
But he always would call every single time. As soon as the sickness would kick in, he'd say, oh, you're doing great. And I'd say, this is ruining my life. I can't get any work done because I'm either high as a kite or I'm sick, Right. So then he said, okay, I think you should come to Arizona and work with me one-on-one and work with my teacher one-on-one. And so that's how the relationship really began.
Okay.
And it completely transformed my life. And I went from living in a total shithole to living in a beautiful place now. I did work with him and his teacher for 1 weekend all around preparing myself for a loving romantic partnership.
Oh, wow.
And this is, again, I thought I was good. I was investigating monasteries to join because I thought I was going to be alone for the rest of my life. And a month after doing this work, I met the person who's now my husband, moved in with him a week later.
Amazing.
Yeah.
Oh my God.
But it just completely transformed my life, and have never gone back to the psychedelics or anything like that since then, because the highs that I feel working with this energy is so much better than any drug I've ever done.
Wow.
And do you still get the sick part, or just the...
Nope. I was going to say, we now have to take a moment to come over to David's
I was starting to get panicky as you started talking about
all you have to do is
sick.
talk about sick or throwing up particularly, and David
or
loses.
dizzy, or laying there curled up in a ball.
It was an extreme reaction for me.
Yeah,
it's not
that's
typical.
not always. That's not the reaction at all. Usually,
See how scared he was?
I promise.
I could do it.
So what was going on with Michael? Was this a spiritual awakening, or it sounded like he was sort of already awake?
Absolutely.
Yeah.
Right. It's where you just remove the cotter pin and it drops in.
Okay. Everything.
It just dropped in. But he was ready, and he's kind of a very rare exception.
Right.
But he'd already done quite a bit of work. It was also previous lifetimes.
Yeah. I mean, obviously, it sounds like he had part of this lineage,
Right.
at least in some
Sure.
capacity. He's connected to it in some way.
And that's kind of it's a feel. It's an energy that I feel or see.
Mm-hmm.
This huge office building I worked a few years ago, this guy walked by me and I went, "Oh, what the hell was that?" And I stopped him. I'd never met this guy before.
Right.
And I go, "Hey, I don't usually do this, by the way. But you're not crazy. You actually were abducted." And he goes, "How the hell do you know that?" And back in 1976, when he graduated, he was in Anchorage, Alaska, and he'd gone to his graduation party. So they got in the car driving home, and as they were going under this walkway overpass, this huge ship appeared. They went under the overpass, turned around, and it was gone. And they were like, "What the hell was that?" And sure enough, they see two of their classmates walking up the street, and they pull over and they go, "Holy cow, what was that? Did you guys see that ship?" And they go, "What ship are you talking about?" Now, they had left the party at 11 p.m.
Uh-huh.
It was now 4 a.m.
Oh, and they'd been gone all that time.
In the time that they thought it took them to turn
around. They'd been abducted.
They'd been gone for 5 hours. He goes, "It really screwed up my life for the rest of my life because I thought I was crazy. I thought, I don't have anywhere to put this."
Did you follow up with him, or like did that make a difference in his life?
I'm sure it did.
Yeah.
But no, I didn't. No.
Right.
There was
So
no
you
follow-up.
told him, and he's like, "Oh my!" And he told you this whole story.
Yeah.
Wow.
Some people are for a season. Some people are for a reason. You've heard that.
Sure.
The people come into your lives
Right.
for just a moment, and some people for a lifetime.
Right.
But Michael literally pushed himself to the brink, why he had kind of that reaction. But he was actually just physiologically letting go of stuff that had been stored, these old belief systems that no longer fit him.
Right.
Why does that happen? Like, why do we have all these old stored belief systems? Why do we keep carrying them forward?
I'd like to see your attic or your basement.
Yeah.
It's like some people are hoarders. Now, I'm not saying you are.
Yeah, I am.
Energetic hoarders where you can't even get to the kitchen because of the pathway, right? Well, why do they keep all that stuff? It's like what they believe it. They believe they need it, or they're going to use it one day. And some people have an incredible capacity for carrying these belief systems from previous lives. Correct. I was reading for this gentleman, and there was this echo. It was like an echo around him. For me, it was like I was seeing double. It was like I was seeing two J's.
Sorry, that's
right?
rough.
Yeah, it was rough. So, anyway, it was a soldier.
The echo is, you're seeing
The
a
echo-
guy, and then the echo is a soldier.
A soldier.
Yeah.
But it wasn't a ghost.
Right.
It wasn't a spirit.
Right.
It was like, what the hell is that?
Right.
And what happened, this was an incredible story, is he had lived in World War II. He was a pilot.
This is a past life of his.
Past life of his. It was an echo of a past life where he'd been a soldier and was shot down and lived during the entire fall. And his mantra became, "At least I'm dying for a cause. At least I'm dying for a cause."
As he's falling from the shot down plane.
At least he knew he was dying,
Uh-huh.
but it's like, "I'm dying for a cause. I'm dying for a cause.
Right.
I'm dying for America. I'm dying
Right.
for America." In this life, he was born into the house of a senator, so he would get like calls every day from the president and Congress and the
Right.
Senate, and
Right.
then he became an advocate for every political event.
So he became all about the cause.
Became all about the cause. He had hundreds of T-shirts and hats and clothes, and
How did you know he had been a pilot? Did that just started? That
it's
that
what
information
I saw.
came
It
to
was
you?
what I saw.
But how did you know about falling and him thinking this is what I'm thinking?
It just
just
what I
comes
saw.
to you. Okay.
So here's what's interesting is he's like, "Oh my God, that is totally it."
Like he understood
knew.
you.
He
you
totally
nailed it.
understood.
Yeah.
But the next week, he asked his best friend to have a reading with me.
Uh-huh.
So I did a reading for her.
Uh-huh.
And her dad comes through. Now, her dad had passed, but he's like, I told her he wants you to celebrate his 100th birthday.
Uh-huh.
And she goes, "How do you know his 100th birthday's in 2 weeks?" And I went, Well, that's what he just said.
Right.
He wants you to celebrate. So she had a birthday party, even though he was on the other side.
Right.
Well, they invited this guy, I'll call him Bob.
The guy who has a past life as a pilot. Bob goes to this party, and they're taking him through photo albums. And Bob goes, so what did your dad do? And they go, oh, he trained all the World War II pilots.
Oh, wow.
And when he saw the pictures, he knew. He recognized the guy, but he didn't know how he recognized him.
In the picture, was it the father or was him in a past life that he recognized?
No, it was the father. It was
the guy who trained him.
The guy that trained him.
He was
like, oh my God.
So he's at this party because he's got this connection to this guy who was his
Right.
instructor in a past life.
Yeah.
And here he is, and he's looking at pictures, and he's on some level recalling this.
Yeah.
What's also interesting about that story is I have heard it said that whatever you think about when you die is sort of like becomes the thing, it becomes a very powerful force, a very powerful influence in your life. So if he's thinking, it must be a very powerful experience to be falling from the sky, knowing you're about to die, and this is the mantra he's got going. And so when he's reborn,
it created like a pothole, like a literal energetic pothole off of him.
That's incredible.
Yeah.
You asked, like, how do these people know that this is true about them, like when they're presented with this information? And I had a recent experience working with Chris's teacher, and I was trying to figure out why this thing kept happening, this pattern in my life. And she's like, yeah, it's this guy who you think is your friend, and he's actually been your nemesis for multiple lifetimes. He has enslaved you, he has killed you, he has dominated you.
I think that you might be that to me.
Well, that's what I was reading with this.
He's telling this for a reason.
Yeah.
And so,
this is exactly right.
She's telling me about someone who I considered a mentor and a business partner, or someone who I cared for when he was sick, right? And I started having this extreme physiological reaction where I was sobbing. I was on the floor sobbing uncontrollably, but there was no emotion. There was no sadness. It was like a physical release. And it was like my body was telling me, yes, this is true. Because what she was saying was kind of incomprehensible to me, right?
Because it's so off your reality.
So off my reality. Yeah. But I immediately accepted that it was true because my body was screaming, this is true, this is true, this is true. It was this deep physical release when she said it. I was like, this is fucking crazy. But okay, I guess you're right.
Wow.
And then it turns out she was right.
And you sort of found that out?
2 months later, he sued me.
Wow.
To someone who I considered such a close friend. Yeah.
But your point is that on some level, yours was a very dramatic reaction, but on some level, people know when Chris says it, and people go, oh, yeah, that is true. I mean, that's certainly what we've seen in the readings that you've been doing on the podcast, is that people go, yeah, that totally makes sense for me because boom, and they let that out. All right, I just want to hear a little bit about where you come from. I know you have an interesting story about your childhood. Give us the Christopher LaPrath
real quick
bio.
Kind of the quick version. I'll start with like my grandparents.
Okay.
Here's the quick version.
There's the version.
5,000 years ago.
On my dad's side, there were stories back in the late 1900s.
Your great grandfather was in the United States.
Yeah, in Iowa. When they first moved here, they would be visited by ships.
In Iowa, they were visited by ships.
I think he means alien ships.
Oh.
Yeah.
Okay.
You meant schooners?
I'm on a spiritual. So your great grandfather is being visited by aliens back in the 1900s.
But they had nowhere to put that, right? They had no, and so they really didn't talk about it. But that's the story. But then on my mom's side, my grandfather was a healer. Okay. And she would walk in on him where the neighbor came over and had a busted arm, and she saw him, this light emanating from him.
Oh, wow.
So there's been this kind of within the family type of situation, but where I became aware of it is my dad was violent. Back then, they didn't really have the terminology for ADHD, bipolar, whatever. They didn't have any of those terms, but I would call him insane because we lived in town, up in a little town called Sandpoint, Idaho. And so he would chase us down the street.
chase you down the street because he
would be
was
in a rage.
bipolar and he'd be in a rage.
He'd be in a rage.
Chase you down the street with what, Chris?
Oh, axes and shotguns.
that little detail. That's why
thanks,
Michael's here.
Yeah.
Right.
So he would almost lose his mind basically in his rage.
Try to kill us.
And you're how old?
I'm like 4 or 5 years old.
Wow.
And so,
Traumatic.
yeah. So my mom was really concerned about what the neighbors would think. So
Being a good American
mom, right? Because, well, and I understand it. Looking back on it now, her business was a beauty shop, and that's where all the town gossip was.
Right,
Small town,
okay, yeah.
right? And so she's like, "I got to move the kids to the woods." Right,
So he can chase
This
you
is-
through the woods
with the
without people
shotguns
knowing.
and without people knowing. But anyway, we moved to this house, and it was absolutely haunted. Like the neighbors all knew that it was haunted. So it was like the convergence of the perfect storm. Like, you know, here's a guy that's already pretty much possessed, my dad, and moving into this haunted house, which then it created unbelievable.
Did your dad go from really bad to worse?
Oh yeah,
And what did that look like?
you were always on survival.
Right. But that heightens your psychic capacities
Yeah.
because you have to read the room constantly.
Right.
So you're picking up energies constantly as a 6-year-old child in order to survive. So it's
Right.
not just, I'm kidding around with this. This is real shit.
Then I had this reoccurring visitation by this angelic creature that I called John. Named him John. There was like some kind of guidance there. There was some kind of protection. And then we lived in the woods, so when my dad would go insane, I would go into the woods. And I mean, I had no fear of cougars or bears, and there were plenty of those, right? Because nature's an open system. You know, it bends, it grows, it adapts, it flourishes. And so actually, I feel like a lot of that nature saved me.
Okay, now hold on. We're going very fast. So who's this John guy? Like, what do you mean? There's an angelic
angel.
being.
Angelic being.
Okay,
Angelic
so
being.
did he come to protect you and your family?
Yeah, I really believe that.
Okay.
Like, there was definitely some
And would you
direction there.
talk to him?
Mm-hmm.
Could you see him? What did he look like?
A little bit like John Hamm. I don't know.
Okay.
But I mean, did he look like an angel, like with the wings and the harp and all that?
No.
But you would see him almost as a form, like a person. Okay. And would you have communication, telepathic or verbal?
Yeah,
or?
it would be telepathic. It would be
Right.
There would be like.
And did he communicate to you? I got you, or what would you pick up from being around him?
I'm looking out after you. Things are going to be okay.
And was your sense he might not have been there until you guys moved in?
No, he was probably there before.
Just to watch over things, because that was a pretty hairy place, it sounds like.
It's like we talked before, right? That the universe is stranger than we can think. That's Werner Heisenberg, the founder of quantum physics. So there really are beings that we cannot see. We only see 0.1% of what's on the electromagnetic spectrum. So we can't see microwave, far infrared.
Yeah.
But sometimes that glitch alters, and sometimes we do. And so, like how you came to this earth to create this broadening of people's scope of what's actual and what's potential. That's why both of you are here, and a lot of the work that you do is you help expand that to go, oh, this might actually be possible.
Well, first of all, that's very kind. I appreciate you. Because nothing would make me happier than to make that contribution. I don't know how David's contributing to that, but there he is, sitting right there, nonetheless.
Sitting there, taking it all in.
Well, you're going to be contributing a lot more, because if you agree, I'll help you move that energy around holding back.
I agree.
At this point, Christopher starts giving David a spontaneous reading.
You thought it was a kind thing for you to do, to wait or to hold up, but no, you're here to just bust through these barriers and let people catch up when they can catch up. My teacher told me this. They go, people either get it now or they get it later. It's better to get it now.
Right.
But if it takes them another 10 days, another 10 lifetimes, that's up to them. You're here to bust through. And so do you release and clear, destroy and uncreate the need to wait for people? Because somehow you've interpreted it as a kindness. But it's actually not kind to you.
Do you get what he's saying about kindness? Does that resonate with you?
Yeah, I mean, it resonates with
This is
me.
why David's so
Yes,
hard.
so
Because it's so obvious. But now watch, he's going to give us
I'll
a
start
scientific, like, well, maybe
so
a little
I'm
bit.
a skeptic, right? I've always been a skeptic, and my
That's
dad.
his role here on the show. Is
Yeah,
to be
and Jay knows my dad is a chemical physicist. Everything was very like, if you can't prove it, it's not real and stuff like that. So that's how I've come up. And
there
then
weren't angels named John
I
in
didn't
your
have-
house
I didn't
saying,
have-
"Don't
I
listen
didn't-
to
I didn't
that."
have John. I didn't have John.
People weren't chasing you with
all that
axes?
stuff. But my relationship with Jay has opened up all these like little doors and things like that. And I go forward, I come back. I go forward, I come back.
Okay.
Yeah.
But the question was, so he's saying,
Yeah.
you think it's kindness. I mean, it's so obvious to me. You think it's kindness every time that someone's suffering, I'm going to go help them suffering.
yes, exactly.
And he's saying, no, you're not doing them a kindness. To just
I don't want to leave them.
Well, you're scared to leave them, yeah.
Yeah,
Yeah.
right.
You know, he says like, move on, and I'm like, but my boy needs me, you know, and like,
Yeah. But this is more of like your identity and you actually coming into and remembering where you came from.
What does that mean? Where did he come from? I don't understand what that means.
Christopher now uses reflexology to show David how very literally his pattern of worrying about everyone else is causing him stress and depleting his body.
So certain things weaken us and certain things
Right.
strengthen us. Okay. So put your thumb and middle finger together like this.
Christopher then says a series of positive and negative words as he tries to pull David's thumb from his forefinger.
So say the word yes.
yes,
David's fingers don't budge,
I'm pulling pretty hard. Say the word no.
no,
and his fingers come apart.
No, I want you to really try to keep
really, okay, no,
No.
And his fingers come apart.
So say yes.
yes,
His fingers won't come apart when he says yes, but his fingers, you are able to pull them apart when he says no.
So just say my name is David.
my name is David.
My name is Mickey Mouse.
My name is Mickey Mouse.
So on Mickey Mouse, you could pull the fingers apart.
Right. Because it doesn't complete a whole entire electrical circuit.
Right. Okay, well, I asked you, you said because of where he came from, and then you showed me that how powerful it seemed to me truthfulness and positive energy is.
So your subconscious knows stuff. Like you don't know how many times you blinked yesterday.
Right.
You don't know how many times you breathed in, heartbeat. Nobody knows that. But that's all part of that area of the brain that does that automatic.
Right. So
What
there's
we
some
let
part
on.
of our brain that knows how many times we inhaled yesterday.
And knows where he
Because
came from.
It caused the inhale.
And knows where he came from.
And knows where he came from. Okay.
So let's just find out.
Yeah, okay.
So say yes.
Yes,
Off planet.
off planet.
David says he comes from off planet and his fingers hold together.
Yeah.
Oh, off planet is true. Oh,
Yeah.
yes, of
You're-
course.
so you're
So his subconscious is saying he's from another planet.
So you just say I'm from Earth.
I'm from Earth.
Not so much.
Okay.
Yeah, you're from off planet, and so when I was telling you about this vibration, it's like a vibration in the field
Right.
that I sense with him.
Right.
It's different than Earthlings.
So what do I do with that?
You stop waiting for people.
We got to that very early.
Yeah, so we're going to go
Stop
back to go and
Yeah.
do you release and clear the need to save everyone?
I release it.
Good, because some people don't want to be saved.
Or they're not ready yet. to
Or
be
they're not
saved.
ready.
Yeah, yeah. Did you really release it though, David? You
Yeah.
said
I'm trying to. Yes, I want to release it.
He released it.
Yes.
Yeah, he definitely did.
Okay.
So can I add that when you're asking him, will he release these things? I'm also internally answering yes.
Yeah.
And the people watching this at home,
If they're ready, if they're willing, if they're able, and they're safe, this program will change their lives.
Because they get the same.
they
Boom.
can authorize it too.
Because so many people have the same kind of patterns. It all looks a
Yeah,
little
yeah.
bit different, everything like that. But the essence, the theme of the patterns are so similar. I mean,
These are the energetic dominoes. That's what I do.
And then Christopher sees an opportunity to take it a little further with David. So he does one more finger exercise.
So just say yes.
Yes.
Mhm, yes. It's safe for me to surpass others.
It is safe for me to surpass others.
His fingers come apart.
not really.
No.
That's interesting. I mean, I totally get that. I mean, David and I are a lot alike in many ways, even though I'm so much better looking. But I like that syndrome of like, is it like, I don't want to stand out. I don't want to be better. You know, everyone should come on. I totally get that.
So just say this. So it's safe for me to stand out.
It's safe for me to stand out.
No.
Not yet. What's so weird about it is David's parents spent his entire childhood telling him how special he was, how great he was, the whole world. You know, that must have scared the shit out of him.
Mm-hmm. So just say, I have to hide.
I have to hide.
David's fingers don't budge. It's going nowhere. You're hiding.
But that's okay. It's not wrong. It's not bad. It's a survival. This is survival stuff.
So what do I do to get it unraveled?
Okay. So you're safe to stand out. So do you release, clear, destroy, and uncreate the need to blend in?
Completely. It's weird that you're saying this, though, because I feel like my instinct is always to stand out.
This is how the brain's tricking you into...
David's brain is almost saying, look how much you like to stand out. Look how much you like to stand out, as almost as a camouflage for this real fear of what happens if I stand out.
Yeah.
I know you and I know you, you know, like we both get uncomfortable, you know, if we...
Right. But so do you release, clear, destroy, and uncreate all fear of standing out?
Yes.
I
don't think we
So just say yes.
Yes.
So just say, I release, clear, destroy, and uncreate all fear of standing out.
I release,
clear,
destroy,
and uncreate.
And uncreate all fear of standing out.
And this time, David's fingers hold.
And that switched.
Okay, but now ask him if, are you okay to stand out? Just put it very simply.
Okay. So you're okay to stand out?
No. Let's give a real direct question, you know.
Well, you ask him.
Okay. Are you okay standing out and being the best and the greatest there is?
Yes.
And he is.
Wow.
It's just like that. But he was ready.
Right. Now I got to catch up.
So someone watching, aren't they going to say, well, you're just pulling harder when you want him to say no, and you're pulling...
Yes.
Isn't that what the skeptic is
Exactly.
going to say?
So can you release, clear, destroy, and uncreate the need for other people to catch up?
Yes.
Yeah.
There's going to be a zillion of those people.
Right. Yeah. That's not who we're here for. That's not who we're working with.
Right.
Like, I have no convincing. I don't work with people I need to convince.
Right. Why would you?
Yeah.
Right.
Why would I?
Yeah. All right. So let's go back to your upbringing. So you've lived in this haunted house in the middle of the woods,
with the
running
angel.
away from with the angel, running away from the
psychotic dad.
Yeah.
And
typical.
Where else? Then where did that go?
So eventually,
well, tell them about seeing your grandfather.
okay. So the
Good thing you're here, Michael.
Thank you, Michael. So my family, we all heard these horrible noises, pounding on the door.
Wait, in the haunted house?
In the haunted house.
Okay.
Screams. We all heard it.
Screams.
And then when I would tell my parents or my family that I would see this stuff, they go, "That's just your imagination."
Even though they all heard it, they were just in denial about it.
Yeah, they were like,
okay.
"Oh, no."
Okay.
Anyway, one night, I was about 6, 7 years old, I don't know. I was walking by the picture windows, and out in the yard was my grandfather. So I went and told my mom, "Hey, Grandpa's in the yard, yeah, put the whatever." She's like, "You know he's in Nebraska, go play."
He's in a what?
Nebraska. In Nebraska.
Oh, Nebraska.
Yeah, that's a state. You know.
Some people say it more clearly than you. I just
Nebraska.
want to add that.
Nebraska. Anyway, so 2 hours later, we get a phone call from my aunt, and he'd passed away 2 hours before.
Oh, my God.
And, yeah. So that's when my mom believed me.
You had reported at that time, I see Grandpa standing over there. Oh.
Yeah, around that time.
Then your mom started to believe you.
Yeah.
Although that may not be a topic she wanted to introduce in the beauty parlor.
Right, but then she knew, like, she had to do something.
Oh.
It moved her to go, my dad is with me. He's here to help me. I can leave this marriage.
Oh. Seeing you have that capability gave her the courage to get out of this very horrible situation. Because this is a period in time and also a geography in our world where the idea of divorce was heavily frowned upon.
Exactly.
Yeah.
Right. And
she had the courage to do it. And was she successful in doing that?
She was.
Wow.
Yeah. But then I went the other direction and I joined a religion.
Oh.
That was very controlling.
Are we naming religions?
We're not naming religions.
Okay.
Because
that's good.
the reason I'm not naming religions is because any religion can have this impact on people,
Right.
where it just kind of caps them and takes control of it.
Right.
Because at that time, even as a young person, I wanted an explanation.
Right.
Why? How come? What's the cause of this?
Right.
Oh, God, devil, good, bad.
Right.
Simple explanation.
Right.
And I bought into it, hook, line, and sinker. I was a missionary in China.
Oh my God!
I tried to convert all the pagan Buddhists.
You're
and you
saving
know how
their
successful
souls.
that was. Yeah.
How many people did you convert, Chris?
Zero. Zippo.
You're the
Yeah.
worst.
I was like the
missionary
worst missionary ever.
in the history.
It was the biggest exercise in futility you can imagine.
But what did you learn out of it?
Mandarin.
Mandarin?
Do you speak Mandarin?
Danganan.
Yeah. Okay.
Yeah, for sure.
Okay, so you're a failed missionary.
Mm-hmm.
Then where do you go?
So then I went home, struggled, just doing.
And where are your psychic abilities at this point? Have you sort of shut them out?
Shut
Because
them out.
that's the devil's work.
Because that's the devil's work.
Yeah. So
Right.
I'm not even listening. I don't
And
see it.
you would be this church, as most churches do, practice abandonment.
Right.
So people would rather die
Uh-huh.
than be abandoned. The abandonment is a big thing in psychology and psychiatry.
Totally.
This whole
Wait,
big
you're saying a normal human being would rather
Yes.
die than be
Yes,
abandoned?
than be
Because
abandoned.
abandonment is so hard on the
so
human
then
being.
religions practice abandonment, excommunication, where no one ever talks to you again. Like if you're the bad person,
So that's the ultimate kind of like card you
Stick.
fear. Yeah.
Yeah.
It's the big stick.
It's the
Yeah.
Okay.
so I just
Shut it up.
Began
You
to
didn't
hit
want
it.
to be abandoned. You didn't want to be excommunicated. So you shared it. And then when did you come back to it?
probably 25, 30 years ago,
What happened then?
I met this teacher of mine
Yeah.
who had actually worked with the teacher of the Dalai Lama
Oh.
and the teacher of the Karmapa. The Karmapa is the head of like the Buddhist order,
Uh-huh. So it's an Asian tradition
Asian tradition.
that this teacher comes from.
Yeah.
You met him where?
Well, I thought I was, at that time,
You were trying to convert him.
no, a friend of mine, one of my clients, I was a reflexologist.
Okay.
I had my own clinic in Tempe. And so she was one of my clients. She goes, you have to meet this woman. So I went up to this woman's house one night and she came to the door. And I talk about this in my book.
Yeah.
And it was, I don't know what you call this in film. Michael knows what it's called. But it's where the camera cuts back and like, it was a weird
completely
sensation.
disorienting.
It was a very disorienting when I met her.
Like time and space kind of just shifted and stuff.
And I perceived something. I said, what are you? Are you an angel? And she starts laughing. She goes, no, I'm an alien. And I freaked out. And when she saw the look on my face, she goes, no, I mean, I'm from Canada. Okay? But at that time I was gone. Like I was like, what is, and that's when it just started flooding coming back. It was just all, and then eventually I wrote a letter, excommunicated myself. No one ever talked to me again.
Yeah.
I got a divorce from my wife.
Who was in the church.
Extremely controlling.
Right. And
Huge.
then this woman became your teacher?
Yeah.
Could she tell that there was certain abilities that you had and she felt that she should take you on as
I was just buried. I was just buried in dogma, in projections, in belief systems. Yeah.
And what did your tutelage with this woman look like? Was it from afar or did you actually?
No, I went. I would write her post-dated checks. Remember the checks? Remember checks?
Yeah, I
Remember
remember.
we used to use
Yeah,
checks?
that, yeah.
I would write her post-dated checks because I didn't have the money, but I knew I wanted this so badly.
Wow.
I knew I wanted to be free.
It's called forgery, but okay.
Yeah, I wanted to be free, but that's where it was like, woo.
Yeah.
I wanted out of this.
Yeah. And to this day, she's still in your life.
Oh yeah, her name's Barbara Hepburn. I said, hey, I'm going on Jay's show with Dave, and she sends this great energy.
Oh, thank you, Barbara.
Yeah.
Thank you so much.
Take it.
Yes.
Yes.
All right. Well, Christopher LaPrath, I'm so happy you're participating with us on the podcast. Thank you so much for doing this. It's fantastic. And Michael, I'm so glad we roped you in because you helped Chris make sense of himself. Because,
Thank you for having me. I would have shaved if I knew I was going to be on camera.
You look fantastic. And your experiences are so amazing and fascinating. And speak to exactly what Chris is up to and what he's been doing. And we'll just see what happens with David over here as time goes by.
Well, we're all going to get Klingons on us energetically that are going to try to drag us down. You know, I talk about this as if you want to go crabbing in the ocean, you don't need a lid on the cage. You just lower the cage in with the bait, right? All the crabs crawl in, and you pull it up. And when one starts, it's like, one will go, oh my God, we're in a cage.
Right.
And the other crabs will go, let's just pull him back down. The other crabs pull the crab that's trying to escape back down.
Why?
That's what crabs do.
So a crab is trying to crawl out of the cage that has no lid, and all the other crabs pull him back down.
So you just don't hang out with crabby people at all.
Right. But that's what we all do to each other. It's like, no. We all learned that reality was this, and it fits in this box. And, you're trying to go there? No. And we throw them back in.
Well, we did. Maybe some of us did. But
we don't need to do that anymore.
Yeah. And when you're around people like that, when you're moving forward, they try to drag you back down because they know you're climbing out of the cage.
Right. And it's threatening.
They don't like that.
And they don't like that.
Yeah.
So my question is, what you did with me, right? Not everyone's going to have the opportunity to sit with you and do that.
See, he's trying to protect everybody else.
Well, no, I'm just saying, like, if Mike from Toledo wants to shed something on his own, can he identify his own issue? And
no,
okay.
Nobody can see their own stuff.
Got it.
I don't care how good you are. I cannot see my own stuff.
Got it.
But we live in kind of a magical universe, I think, where when you're ready, opportunities come to you, whether it comes to you in the form of Christopher LaPrath or some other podcast or a book, but when you're ready,
the teacher appears. Yeah,
and that teacher can come in any form, and you have the opportunity.
Yeah.
So your guy is going to be fine.
Everyone's going to be fine.
And that's why you can move on, because everyone, when they're ready, will have everything they need to take
I was
care
actually
of
thinking about, like, Jake.
He's worried about
I'm worried about my son. Yeah. Like, can Jake heal himself? When
will Jake
heal himself?
All right, we got to wrap it up here.
Okay.
All right. Christopher, thank you so much. I'm so happy you are in our world. And Michael, thank you so much for sharing your wisdom and experience with all of this. And this has been an incredible episode. It's going to help so many people and have an impact in people's lives. Yeah.
Thank you guys very much.
Thank you.
Thanks.
Both.
Thank you, guys.
If you enjoyed this episode, be sure to subscribe to Realization Lab on Apple Podcasts, Spotify, YouTube, or wherever you get your podcasts.